Facebook, YouTube, and the Facebook group from the Freedom Broadcasters.
Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You'll find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. And you'll find everything about Arnold on braingym.fitness and me on roycollin.com. And before we start today, we're going to be discussing AI because there's a lot of stuff going on and we just can't ignore it. It's so important. But what I want to say is episode 404 was censored again by Spotify. So it's been removed. So you might have seen it come up and then it disappeared. It's still on Rumble and it's still on YouTube. So where you'll find the episode there. Just want to let you know about what's happening on that, which is nothing new regarding censorship, Arnold, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's all the Awakening podcast. You should mention that. Yeah, so if people are looking.
To be honest with you, the meditation previously, they've removed healing frequencies that I've had, about 5 of them.
Oh, okay.
And on the Awakening, that's the third one that Spotify have removed. And now I have to be careful because with the guy, it was talking about the dangers of cell phones. And I've done 2 others with him that are about to be released. And I could get removed. So I'm in a catch-22 now because, one, I don't like being afraid. But if they just take down the podcast, which has happened to a friend of mine, it's not good because they don't give it the RSS feed. So I'd have to move it over and then put it up somewhere else, which is something I didn't want to be doing. But I have appealed and they haven't even responded, which is typical, some of these big companies.
Well, it's likely that it's AI doing this stuff.
Of course.
Yes.
It is AI. And same with YouTube. Every strike I got, they said, we'll review it when you appeal. And within 30 seconds, yeah, we've reviewed it. And
so that is what AI is doing. Well, I think maybe, I don't know whether AI is doing that, but they put you on the blacklist, and then when this podcast pops up, they're like, oh, we need to check this, and then the AI goes over it. Oh, there's this word in there. Oh, boom, cancel. So it's not a guy in a cellar in Bangladesh listening for an hour to it. No, it is the AI. Yeah?
And I've played with it
Maybe,
actually on TikTok.
Maybe that is as a precursor to what we're going to discuss, is that is a small example which will happen to all of us.
Yeah. And I played with the title on AI on TikTok, ones that were previously removed. I just got annoyed. I said, I'm going to try this again. And I changed the title as if I was in favor of the thing, and it stayed up. So sometimes you think it's going through the whole content, which I mean, they are, but a lot of the time it's the title can actually get you in trouble.
Yeah, maybe it's not even. I don't know whether there are AIs who can totally listen, because this one podcast where this interview with Tristan Harris, which we're going to discuss, and it's 2.5 hours, and I thought, let's see whether I can ask AI and say, give me a summary of the key action points, right? And then it said, oh, I cannot do that. Yes, it will like, no, there is no transcript. Well, there is a transcript on if you go to YouTube, or you have like, well, the Apple podcast, there is a transcript, but it's only, yeah, well, you cannot select all the text and put it somewhere. It's like you can only have small blocks. So I think that's the reason why AI can't go over it.
Well, I mean, the reality, I think it can do that, but it doesn't want to, because everybody would be doing it. And then people would be taking content from, say, videos, podcasts, and creating a book saying, hey, write this in my own words and stuff like that. And we'd be just bombarded with everything for sale, which would be competing with the people that are genuinely being creative and writing it from the heart.
Well, that would be nice, but I haven't seen many examples that the AI is trying to be nice to us.
No, exactly. So I suppose, I mean, I suppose we'll do tag team today. We'll do one of the ones, Kodiak, because we've talked about previously about the trucks and stuff like that. Kodiak has begun commercial operations in early 25. They delivered customer-owned autonomous semi-trucks to Atlas Energy Solutions, which have completed deliveries without a human driver actively driving. According to Kodiak, these trucks, called robo trucks, are equipped with a full sensor suite, cameras, lidar, radar, redundant steering, braking, actuation to allow safe driverless operation. The scary thing is they can operate 24/7, which humans won't, obviously. The idea that existing freight fleets could be upgraded to autonomous systems versus buying entirely new purpose built self-driving trucks is part of their pitch, which basically, if you are a trucking company, you go, I'm paying, you know, Mr. Driver, I don't know, 40,000 a year, 80,000 a year, depending on where they are, or I can just equip the truck with this and it keeps driving. What are you going to do? At the end of the day, they're loyal to the dollar. And this is going to happen very fast. And they're saying, oh, it's going to be slow and all this. The minute they realize that this is actually working, I mean, if you're a business owner, you could say, I'm not doing that, but then you won't be able to compete on price. So you're not going to get the job. So it's a catch-22 again.
Yeah, so, and people have to realize that drivers, yeah, whether it's trucks or taxis or cars in general, or well, professional driver, let me put it like that, is the number one in numbers of people who have that profession in the world. So most people in the world are car drivers. So if that continues, and it will, a huge professional group of people will lose their job. And still, as with everywhere, I haven't seen any reskilling program or transition program, or is like, what are these men who and women work basically day and night? It's a lousy job. Yeah? What are they supposed to do now to pay their mortgage and get their kids to school and get food on the table?
And they done it very, like, if we look at the taxis, because I could see the way they were doing it. I mean, from Ireland, there was always the taxis, and then you like hackneys that were a bit cheaper. But so then all the Bolts and all these different companies came in. So then you have students coming in, then they're providing the car from them and they're taking a certain amount. They're taking like 30% and everything. And then they're reducing the fare. So you're like, you were basically, if you were going in town or something like that, in Poland even, it was like half the price. And you're going, so then you get conditioned to use that instead of taxis. So all the taxis disappear, or else the taxis have to use this as well. And then these cars, you're used to getting into the Bolts, and then the Bolts will just come along and start driving themselves. So that then will be even cheaper again. And all these people, even students and stuff like that, trying to make money to go through college, they no longer have a job. And people are like, I see it already. People are recording it, thinking, this is brilliant. Look, there's no driver. And no driver means no human connection, no conversation, but also millions and millions of people out of work.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of these people, well, some of them have it as a main job, but a lot of people do it part-time, like they're studying and being a driver. Here locally, I spoken to a guy who worked as a nurse in a hospital, and they're paid here a terrible salary, so he cannot live for it. So in the weekend when he's off, he's driving his own, well, Uber kind of taxi. So he's working 7 days a week. But if that stops, I think he doesn't even earn $1,000. He works in a hospital. He has a regular job. So from Thousand in, you cannot live here.
So this is an interesting one because we touched on it not so long ago. The Albanian minister Diella, Diella, not a human but AI generated, that was made by the Albanian government. And just recently, I saw that all the politicians were in the parliament, freaking out over it, and then she claims she was hurt. Then on October the 25th, Idi Rama, the Prime Minister of Albania, publicly said that Dila was pregnant, but it was a metaphor. But what he meant is it's going to spawn 83 new digital assistants, one for each member of parliament from the ruling party. Each of those 83 children is supposed to be to serve as virtual assistants for a lawmaker, tracking parliamentary proceedings, summarizing what was said if someone missed a session, even suggesting responses. And this is like the start of digital ID because he's buddies with Tony Blair, and they were at the WEF, another fraudulent, corrupt thing. But Tony Blair, warmonger, and he talking about, oh, this will be digital ID. So it's like Albania is pushing this. So it seems like it's all fun and everything. Scary. And I mean, they'll say, oh, this is good and it's going to. I remember when we touched on it before, it was kind of like because there was so much corruption and that's why they were bringing it in. But the reality is, it's all a game.
Yeah, and they're just testing different applications.
So,
And to continue on that, what's happening on the governmental level, this week, the White House in Washington just launched what they call the Genesis mission. That's the name they give to it. And it's a Manhattan type of project for AI. For those of you who don't know what the Manhattan Project was, that was the project in the US during World War II where they combined all the money, resources, geniuses, all the people to build the atomic bomb, which were later dropped, two of them on Japan. Yeah? So that was the Manhattan Project. It's like we put everything we have in there, yeah, money, people, resource, everything, well, to end this war. Yeah? But now there is a Manhattan Project for AI called Genesis Mission. And what they will do is the Department of Energy will build a national AI platform on top of US supercomputers and federal science data, train scientific foundation models, and run AI agents and robotic labs to automate so it's to automate experiments in biotech, critical materials, nuclear fusion, space, quantum, and semiconductors. This was an executive order from Trump this week. So it means that, well, basically science, energy, everything will be done by AI now. Yeah, so and they basically have the whole. They're already building the infrastructure like data centers and everything, but now it's like we're going to apply it to a national platform. But that means that scientists, people from universities, whatever, all these guys will lose their job as well because it's AI going to do that. Because I just emphasized it's going to automate this kind of work, yeah? And they're creating all this stuff. And it's the biggest project on AI at the moment in the US. Yeah, so this is where all basically all the money, because this basically is like the AI agents and everything doing the work. It's not like the real Manhattan Project where there were, I think it was somewhere in a desert in California where where they all came together and worked on this stuff, which was human beings doing stuff, yeah, with the I don't watch movies, but like the Oppenheimer thing,
Oppenheimer.
yeah, it's like, but these were real people, but now these are AIs.
Scary. And just on a little tangent, I don't believe there was nuclear bombs because if we look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, them cities are thriving now. And I've seen stuff where, like Dresden, and where they bomb it and then they firebomb it, and it looked the exact same as in Nagasaki, and all pictures were like stopped and everything. They hid all pictures, and I've seen stuff even just just this week on that, saying it's massive TNT to actually give it that. And if you look at the camera work and everything, oh, it's able to see it. The camera doesn't disintegrate. The camera's able to watch everything when they're doing all this testing and everything. So I think it's a fair tactic. Every single thing though I question, and I think they do it so people shit themselves because they think Russia's going to nuke us, we're going to nuke them, and all this kind of stuff, and people live in fear. And I don't think they have that technology. They have obviously bombs that can do terrible things, and like they've been doing, but I don't think they have a nuclear bomb. So I'll go on to another one. Neo by 1X Technologies. It's a humanoid robot intended for home use by 1X Technologies. As of late 25, Neo, or its variant Neo Gamma, is offering for pre-order with planned release in 26. Early versions rely largely on teleoperators, remote human control, but eventually the idea is more autonomy. And upsides, because I'm looking all the ones now, there's about 3 or 4 that I'm going to touch on today. Like the upsides, it could bring versatile assistance into the home, chores, remote help, support for elderly and disabled people, um, convenience in daily tasks, especially for people living alone or with reduced mobility, could enhance the quality of their life. Risks, because early versions are teleoperated, there are privacy and security concerns. Remote operators might have access to home data. Also, as with many home robots, risks of economic inequality. Who can afford it? Loss of human jobs in service, household work, and psychological social impacts if people rely too much on machines instead of human contact. So it's like I mean, that's the way it's going to be. Like, rich will get all these things, and it's the poor that are working in their houses. They don't have a job. What are they going to do, Arnold?
Yeah, that is, there are a couple of things, and this is one of the major ones. These are not being addressed. I haven't seen anywhere, whether it's for the truck drivers or for the care providers or for the scientists who are going to lose their job to the Genesis thing. What are they supposed to do? You are a, let's say, a chemical professor doing this thing. Yeah, goodbye. We have the AI doing it. And so, what are you supposed to do? No, and so it's well, this time it's kind of, I'm looking for the right word. They're not discriminating because it will be low-level jobs like truck drivers, but now it will also be, well, it's already with the Doge thing, which we discussed before, is like that governmental officials are losing their jobs and high level people, but it's up to professors and PhDs and all those guys. So it's, well, it's a good thing that it's not discriminating, but that's a sad statement because they all lose their job. So this time it doesn't make any discrimination or distinction between level. No, it's just impacting everyone.
And even like waiters and chefs. I mean, the robot can cook better than your chef, and if it costs 20 grand, most chefs they might get a bit more than that. They're not paid very well, like if they're just, not the head chef, but so they're gone. We already see the robots going around, and people I've seen it even in Poland, like, and people think it's fantastic. Hey, look at this. That was a human previously that was talking to you, laughing and joking. And even the other thing as well, like some people end up dating the waiter, waitresses, that's how they meet people. That'll be gone now as well. You're not taking that robot home with you, Arnold, are you? Although people do not know as well, you see, they're selling sex robots as well, which I don't know. It's gone so scary.
Well, I want to build upon that. Let's first give a little bit of context. There was this. Well, he's then Tristan Harris. He used to work for Google. Then within Google, he addressed the fact that they were manipulating to get people's attention. That's what he said when he worked in Google and said, "Hey guys, we need to do this differently because we are now really getting people's attention all the time." and he sent an internal mail and whatever, and that's when he became a ethicist within Google, and then I don't know whether he was kicked out or found another, but he left. But he saw that they were just interested in the word which you used before, is like getting eyeballs, and as long as possible. Yeah, so not talking about anybody's health or anything else. So that's when he started the Center for Humane Technology. So he's a guy who knows about what he's talking about. That's why I'm giving this introduction. And he warned already in 2013. That's 12 years ago. He already warned for social media addiction, teen mental health crisis, and democracy collapse in 2013. And of course, nobody listened to him. But that means this guy knows what he's talking about. That's why I'm sharing this. And he says AI is 1,000 times worse. Okay. Let's continue on what you said. Are you going to date a robot or not? One of the things he mentioned, this was 2.5 hour interview this week on the Diary of a CEO. And one of the things he mentioned, let me check where it says, is that especially, oh yeah, he said 1 in 5 high school students, so what's it, 12 to 18 high school, have romantic relationships with AI. So you not even have to bring in the robot, you just have it with AI. And he said 42%, that's nearly half, use AI as their companion. So it's like, this is my friend or girlfriend. Or half. So no wonder that people have no longer talking with their friends, going out with their friends, having meetings with their friends, do nice things together, go to a concert. Well, half of them is like, no, I'm busy. Well, busy means talking to your AI companion. This is reality. This is
The
now.
thing is, like, when they're doing that, so like I've heard of that, like that there's the apps that is like the woman, the sexy woman, do anything for you, just talk to her or whatever, and obviously the same for men. And it's like, even if they kind of break away from that, they're already have to be conditioned to think a certain way. So if they decide they want to get into a relationship, I don't think they're going to be in the right headspace for it. They'll probably be abusive because they're used to them saying and do exactly what they want.
Yeah, and always, I don't know the right word, but it's like confirming them is like, oh, you're so right. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's fine. Is like, yeah, it's not like, oh, this is a stupid idea. AI wouldn't say that to them. Yeah. So it like, oh, what a great idea. What a good suggestion. Yes, of course. Yeah, can I do that? Yes, of course. Does this trouser look good on me? Yes, of course. You look great. Yes, so, whereas someone else would say, I don't like it. So, so that means that, well, I think it's already a longer ongoing trend that especially young people, there's well, they call it the helicopter generation. They're so used, also their parents do that. It's like, oh, you're great, you're the best, you're fine, you're super, and even if you're lost in your class, you get a prize and everything. So when they start to work and the boss said, well, this is lousy, do it again, they will be sick for 3 weeks because they're only having this confirmation, like you're the best, the greatest in the world. Well, most people like to hear that, but if that's only what you hear, then you're doomed.
And I mean, I've even seen that with my son because, like, if I'm playing games or whatever, I never leave him win. But some friends or whatever, their parents do the opposite, and they get extremely angry if my son is beating them in something then because they're not used to losing because they're
Well,
yeah.
well,
So and I'd say so that's the exact same thing with the AI kind of thing. Used to having it my way, then you become kind of ego driven, and then if anyone objects to you and stuff, it's a shock to the system.
yeah, but the shock means they become sick.
Yeah.
And well, at the same time, obviously you grow and you learn from adversity. Yeah. Well, well, that's why I say people need to do sports in teams because, yeah, well, except for a draw, well, there's one team winning and the other one is losing. So that's why you get used to it. There's no sports where one team all the time wins or every team wins all the time because that's what they expect. So it like we should be looking at these things. So now moving into what I said about it's not discriminating now this time, which previously because automation is a lot of factory workers lost their jobs in the past 20, 30 years. Yeah, like in automotive manufacturing, it's now being done by machines and robots and everything. But now it's like doctors, surgeons, scientists who are going to lose the job. But Roy, do you know what they state as the goal of this artificial general intelligence? That's the next step. We now have artificial intelligence. Then the next step is artificial general. And general means it can do anything as it relates your cognitive abilities. And then you have artificial super intelligence, which even goes a step further. But what do you think, Roy, is the goal of AI, of any of these top AI companies?
I think remove humans from the equation.
Absolutely. Literally, Tristan Aaron said the goal is automating all human cognitive labor. That's the goal. So, well, you say cognitive, and what's the rest then? That's manual, but that's the robots. Yeah. So if you're cleaner or whatever, well, you don't need much of your cognitive capacity. But that will be robots and machines doing that. Yeah, so your cognitive ability will be replaced by AI, and your physical manual labor will be replaced by robots, machines, etc. And it's a $110 trillion game. $110 trillion game. That is the global labor market. And they want to replace, indeed, like you said, all humans.
And the other thing as well, Arnold, they've been trying the chips. I'm hearing stuff that they're taking prisoners and stuff like that, but I've no way of confirming it. So that's just based on some of the things I'm seeing. But if they do get to the stage where they're putting the chip in the head and you kind of have like AI as such, then what will happen, even if they are having employees, it'll be you're competing with that guy that's able to have, let's call it super intelligence. So then the normal guy isn't going to get the job. It'll be these idiots that put chips into their heads. And that'll be the same for everything. So people will be losing their jobs. And then they'll be like, I have to keep up with the Joneses. I have to do it, otherwise I won't get a job. And then people will don't want that, but they'll do it. And I can see something like that happening as well.
Yeah, but it's not even necessary because an AI is working 24 hours a day, is working 7 days a week, doesn't have sick leave, doesn't go on holiday. Yeah, so all of these is not like, hey, it's the weekend. It's like AI can do already much, much more. And they said somewhere is like they're all the level of a Nobel Prize winner. Yeah, and they can. It's not only working day and night, but they work 100 times faster. Yeah, so it's like you don't need much of an AI because one AI can replace what is it, 100 people or so. It's a bit like
I
so
think
that chipping won't even be necessary. Maybe they do it for a few things, but I don't think it is going to happen much because the AI already can do that.
and if you look at Albania, I reckon they'll make it look like that's a success story, and then all the politicians will be. Because isn't it strange that over the last 10, 15 years, I mean, at some stage, countries were getting better, things were looking up, but now every single country is run by idiots. I mean, you ask anybody, it's like Canada, idiots, UK, idiots, Ireland, idiots, everyone that's in both sides there's no opposition there, all idiots. So, like, someone will say, "Oh, let's get AI," and eventually it'll be like, yeah, instead of 100, say in Ireland, 166 politicians running the parliament, they'll just slowly drop it. Eventually, that's the plan. Like, it's all orchestrated. So this is another interesting one. It's a HOXO, HOXO, robot deployed in hazardous environments. Uh, an intelligent humanoid robot deployed in a nuclear industry site by Capgemini and Orano. It has real-time perception, autonomous navigation, gesture replication, built to operate in environments too hazardous or demanding for humans. And the upsides is robots like this can safely perform tasks in disasters and stuff like that. It helps humans not getting, because I mean, I suppose if we look at Chernobyl and stuff like that, there was a lot of people that were injured from that. So if you'd have for things like that, it would have been better having a robot. But then the concerns, high stakes environment mean if something goes wrong, software bug, sensor error, misjudgment. Results could be catastrophic, radiation leak, accidents. There's also the risk of over-relying on automation, eroding human oversight, and moral legal complexity about responsibility of a robot causes harm. So, like same thing, you're saying you can see the pros and cons for things like that. And, like this cyber hacking and things like that. So
Oh yeah, that is what he was also saying. Like there's no safety measures, so it's like people hacking your robot or your AI assistant, whatever, will be very easy. Yeah, and well, I don't know about you, but I've seen these pictures of these robots which are well as tall or as big as an average sized human. Yeah? But if they do like chuck on your head, yeah, they split your brain. Yeah, so it's like, yeah,
and this is the thing. Like I was thinking of that. Like if you look at say Soros or Gates or any of these people, they've never done anything for mankind. They make it look like they're good, but so if they've got Robert, sure they can just put them out in the streets, and I think that will happen. And how are you supposed to defend yourself against that?
well, that is apparently, I don't know whether it is this, but recently, Elon Musk, he's in the same category, I think. He has said is that, well, maybe we don't need prisons anymore because we got for everyone a robot following them. So, and then that robot will kind of attack you if you do something which is not allowed. So it's not a bodyguard. It's like to make sure that you do what they want you to do. It's an enforcer. It's like so they're like, no, no, nobody will do a crime anymore because otherwise the AI will do. That is that. He already said it.
Terminator's getting closer and closer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So it is really really having a huge impact. So and what I forget to mention is that these so they're called now digital immigrants, these AI agents. So they
Are they
work at
coming in on
prototype
boats?
level. They are superhuman speed and they work for less than a minimum wage. So what to do about it? Yeah, so Tristan, well, he got emotional on the stuff. Yeah, he's talking about protest and a movement and everything around it. But it's apparently there are these main American companies who are competing among themselves because they can only be, in the end, one can be the one running the show, not six. It's going to be one. And that one is like, it's their digital god. I'm not kidding. It's like that's what they say is like it's godlike powers, and you want to be the guy. Mostly, it's a guy to say, "Hey, I built this digital god, and it does what I want them to do." So it's godlike features what they're creating is like, I want to be the first. And so that's why they are competing among themselves in the US. But there's this other competition going on. It's like, yeah, but we must make sure it's a US company and not a Chinese company. Because if it's a Chinese company who has first built this digital god, well, then we in the US will be slaves to a Chinese god. We don't want that. That's why everything is around speed. It's about speed. It's about speed. It's about moving ahead. And because of the speed, they lose all the safety. They don't care about the safety. It's like whether it's ethical or safety, whatever. It's like, ugh, we cannot do that because then we lose the game. We're too slow, whatever. So they totally ignore these things. That is happening right now.
And the thing is, as well, because they're developing it at such speeds, they think they're in control. But sometimes even the AI is talking to itself that they don't understand the language. And I've heard of a few cases where they tried to turn it down and it actually reprogrammed itself that it couldn't. And I had a guy on Gus Morris, I think is his name. He wrote a book, Swarm, and it's kind of like it goes away and does its own thing. And I see that's where we're at because if you just look at the way all the stupid things that they've done, the people in control, they don't care. But so this could go away and start damaging everything just based on itself, depending on how it was programmed, and it can't be shut down.
Yeah, they even tried to shut it down and to see how it works, but then the AI is self-aware, so it knows it like, oh shit, they're trying to shut me down, and it will try to prevent it. So they already copied their own software on another server. That's what they did themselves. That's what the AI did. And it's like, let's suppose it's Roy who's trying to shut us down. Then they found in the mail that Roy has an affair with someone else and is sending you blackmail mails. Is like, you're trying to shut me down, but then I will tell your wife that you have an affair. Ooh. It was not programmed to do that. It did that by itself.
And like, I mean, I'm using it for the podcasts and stuff like that, and it is scary what you can do. I put in a business plan just earlier today of something crypto related, and what it created was like it would take months, and it took 20 minutes. It's scary. It's scary. And how many jobs are no longer able to do that? And that's a simple level. The stuff that's released to us is simple level. The stuff they've got is by 100 or more.
Well, we're moving towards the end, but if it's okay with you, I want to close with a question, and it's not particular. It's a question to our audience because when you are listening, when I'm listening to all this stuff, what nobody tells them is like what I think is missing in the conversation. Well, there are two things. One thing is like there's no reskilling or transition plan for basically all the humans who are going to lose their job. There's nothing about that. We've been discussing this, but I would like to add another question. The other thing is like if all the companies, all the business, everything is run by robots and AI, and they are producing the goods and products and services which we need. But you need consumers, you need clients to pay for those products. But if I have no job or another thing, I cannot afford to buy this stuff. So the wealthy guys, whatever, will earn much, much less money because I don't have money to buy your product. I hear nobody talking about that. How's that going to work? So I would like to leave this with our audience, and please share in the comments. Is like, what are your thoughts about that? Well, why is that not being discussed, or how is this supposed to do? Because, well, if people might even have a small thing, it's like, well, your money goes to, well, basically the lowest level of Maslow is like food, water, shelter. And that is where I buy my stuff. But that means I'm not going to buy the speedboat or jewelry or stuff. Yeah, so all these high level product where the people earn a lot of money in or going on holidays or whatever. I don't have the money, so I'm not going to spend money. But that means the rich folks are not going to earn money out of that business. How is that supposed to work? I know nobody talking about it. I think it's really weird. So please give your suggestions in the comments, and maybe next time we can continue on that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so you'll find everything about Arnold on braingym.fitness, and he's also got a school group. The links will be in the show notes. And I've got a podcasting school group as well and help with podcasting. So you just scan the QR code or go to roycollin.com. Be sure to thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. And regarding the comment, you can comment on Spotify, and then if you're listening on YouTube or Facebook, we read all the comments. So, and even if I make sure I copy it to Arnold as well, so we'll respond to you. Until next week, take care.